Hello. Thanks for that, Harry. Thanks for that countdown. Hello, everyone. We are Geeks Assembled, and we have gathered here today, and aren't we a lovely bunch, apart from some people. But anyway, we're here today to talk about Tim Burton's 1989 Batman. Let's kick off. Let's go straight to Harry first. Let's see what Harry makes of this film.
All I can say is, to start things off, I am the night. I am vengeance. I am Batman. Finally, we get a Batman that truly fixes to what the Dark Knight is supposed to be after all this campy stuff from the 60s on. I mean, it's a pleasant change to see Burton and Keaton working together and putting on such a great show. So they the work was done so well that, well, the reason I say a change is because up until this time, except for the change in the DC universe with the Crisis of Infinite Earths, it's been basically, we've been dealing with offshoots of Adam West in Adam West's version of the Batman, which was all camp and comedy. We're finally getting back to the seriousness, the dramatic version of the Bat the way it should have been done. Getting away from this comedic 60s stuff which we'd seen on TV with the television series, with the cartoons, even the so-called Justice League Super Friends stuff. I mean, it's a pleasant change from all that. To me, this is the way it should have been done. The change should have been done a long time ago, and I just enjoy it tremendously.
I like the 60s TV series. I like all that campiness. It's fun, that pow, bang, and all that. Let's go next to Alex and Susan. See what they make of Batman. You're muted. Oh, that's it.
Well, actually, Batman's always been a little bit of a campy character, even in the comic books. Of course, it was different. Originally, it was called Detective Comics. That's what the DC stands for. And they've always had sort of campy covers and the Boy Wonder, and they had very strange creatures and things like that. In the 40s, though, they started changing it, and of course, in the early 80s, they had the dark, gritty, quote-unquote, graphic novel. So I understand what Harry is saying. But they had a Batman in the 40s as well, which was a little campy, but not as bad as the 60s version, even though they did have a cliffhanger in the 40s version as well. And those were serials, and just like the serials of the 60s, they had the yellow type, is Batman going to get out of this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there's been about, 6 to 8 Batmans. They might change it again. I mean, I like Batman, I like Spider-Man, I like Hulk, but I'd like to see more Wonder Woman and stuff like that. This movie I saw the same month as I saw License to Kill in the same theater. And, of course, this movie was better received. It was wilder. Jack Nicholson is chewing up the scenery. If he chewed up any more, he wouldn't have a film. I was just mentioning how it's sort of inspired the Kingsman series, especially with Julianne Moore as the villain. And the same thing, except she's talking about actual drugs, as opposed to the Nicholson Joker, which was talking about makeup and chemical, toiletries and things like that. Still very well done. The movie is funny. It's got a lot of music. It does work with the Prince soundtrack as well as the regular instrumental. But again, it's the same characters, and there's only certain ways you can do it. I know everybody in this generation is really impressed with the 2008 version. I'm not. I like Michael Caine, but that's a different movie. That's a different era. I don't like it as much as the 40s, 60s, and the late 80s Batman. I like that better. I've seen almost all the Batman movies in a theater. I did not like the one with what was it, with Schwarzenegger's Iceman. I mean, there's been tons of incarnations. This
You
was
mean
good.
Batman and Robin?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
That's my favourite one, Alex. Stop dishing it.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I know they were trying to be campy, but it was too much, and it did not work in the '90s version. So I think they know they had to reboot the franchise and make it more serious and gritty and stuff like that. But like I said, this one's good. I know that they had a lot of changes and a lot of script changes, and they originally were going to have two other type of casts that probably wouldn't have done as well. It might have been more serious, but I mean, the two Jacks, Jack Palance and Jack Nicholson, great. Scenes are great. Dialogue is great. So if you just want a wild ride, like riding the Batmobile, the 60s version and the 80s version are great. And the 80s version was great because the Batmobile could do more. It could even stop on voice command. So Kim Basinger, not really a great actress. Too much screaming as well. But I still like her. But she's always been in weird movies as well, more than one. And she's known for other movies that we're not going to discuss here. So, I mean, Michael Keaton is actually an underrated actor. It's funny that 20 years later, he's in a Spider-Man movie. So it's very strange how it's all kind of interconnected in a very weird, degrees of separation kind of way. Not in Kevin Bacon kind of way. Again, another franchise he was in that we won't mention. Friday the
You
13th.
usually do.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Yeah. So, I
Don't
mean,
hold
like I
back,
said,
Alex. If you want to talk about other franchises.
I saw this. I saw this in the movie theater, and most people loved it. Most people loved how wild it was. Most people did like Jack Nicholson's character. Yes, he plays a similar character. Yes, it could have been a lot worse. Yes, he could have been even wilder than he already was. I don't know what all the talk about Heath Ledger is 20 years down the road. He is ripping Nicholson off a little bit, I think. But again, it's a franchise. You're going to have similar characters. You can't have a totally different character. In the original scripts, they wanted a different character. They didn't want the Joker. So, and it wouldn't have worked with Tim Burton. It wouldn't have caught the imagination of people. And they would have had to reboot the franchise even more than they're doing now. So, but like I said, I like it, except for other weird parts of dialogue, like Alfred letting Vicky Vale into the Batcave and other strange things. 90% of the people that have seen this movie seem to love it. So that's saying something. And yes, you need a movie that's not only a cult hit, but also has fans. And also, I miss the days I had in the 70s, 80s, and 90s of the audience really loving the movie. And that's a great feeling when you go to a theater and you're sort of bonded together because everybody likes the movie. I mean, that's a fun experience.
And I enjoyed it, and I saw it in the theater as well. I loved Michael Keaton as Batman. He did Batman justice, and so to speak, and I really liked the character interplay between him and Jack Nicholson as as Joker. Like these two were amazing together. Jack Nicholson and Jack Palance were amazing together. Like really, the bouncing off of each other, the work together was awesome, and I enjoyed the music. Let me just bring up the music because the music was amazing. Prince, hadn't been Prince had not been in movies to that extent, except for and then later on or later on that same year, uh, Purple Rain came out. Anyway, it was great. It was really, really awesome. So the let's just that's all my opening thoughts. Thanks, guys. Back over to you, Alan.
Oh, thanks for that, Susan. Let's go to Ethan, because you can just tell he's bursting to talk, and I don't know. I noticed something different about Ethan. I don't know what it is. Have you had your hair cut, or
Oh, no, well, I've had my hair cut. I've got contact lenses in.
That can't be what I noticed as different. I just never mind. Let's carry on.
Right. Where do I begin with this amazing movie? I first saw this in the early 90s. I watched it with my dad. And I could quote this movie. I could quote the entire movie. I've seen it that many times. It's one of the best Batman films ever. I love what they did with the Dark Knight trilogy. Like Heath Ledger and Joker. I like what they did, but it's not really Batman. It's more like a realistic, gritty take on Batman. To me, this is Batman. This is the real live action Batman. I mean, we've had that many ones, and I think the older I got, it is like probably none of them are perfect. We know that we'll never get like a perfect Batman film, but this one is near just about perfect. And from the music, the look and style, like that of a timely look, that mixture of modern meets 1930s, like some of it, like the way they're dressed. The music was great. Danny Elfman did the music. To me, that's the music of Batman. It's meant to be gothic and dark, and each character's got a theme. Like with Joker, he's got a very circus-like theme. And again, Jack Nicholson in this is brilliant as the Joker. He's just great. It's just like that whole build-up, like when he starts off as Jack, and that slow build-up to him, like coming out of the shadows, and you see he's become a clown. That's still great. It's still brilliant. And I love Michael Keaton as Batman. And I'd still say he's my favorite live-action Batman, because the reason I think he's my favorite is because no one expected him to be so good. And that is kind of like Bruce Wayne. People don't expect Bruce Wayne to be Batman. You never thought Michael Keaton could be Batman. Because when he got the part, they were like, what? Him from Beetlejuice, a comedy actor, come on. But he nailed it. He just nails the part perfectly. That whole dual side, Bruce Wayne, Batman. And I could go on about it. I mean, I've got the soundtrack, as you could see. I've got Scandalous single, which is from Batman as well. It's a song played at the end credits. It just is. It's just a fantastic film. This one and Batman Returns, to me, are the best live-action Batman films, because it's comic booky. And that's what I love about it. I've never really been big on like them saying, oh, we're going to make a comic book film, but in a realistic way. It sort of takes away that sort of escapism into fantasy. Whereas this does have a bit of a fantasy comic book feel to it, if that makes any sense. But
no, not at all.
Thanks, I figured that. But it's just a brilliant, dark Batman movie. And if it weren't for this one, we wouldn't have had Batman the Animated Series, which is another amazing Batman adaptation, maybe the best Batman adaptation, up there with the two Batman and Batman Returns. All the characters are great. Jack Palance as Grissom, even Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent, who originally they wanted as Two-Face in a sequel, but obviously we never got that, sadly. I would have loved to have seen him as Two-Face. Yep, and just all the parts. Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger, they're all great. It's such a fantastic movie. The sets are everything, are brilliant. I think that's anything. I can't praise this movie enough. It's just a fantastic, amazing Batman film.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't like it. But I forgot Billy D. Williams was in it. I completely forgot. And then when he came up, oh right, he's the guy of Star Wars, yeah. Yeah, of course, Ethan's wearing contacts, not glasses. That's what the difference is, yeah. Have you just noticed that, Lee? So I was thinking for the whole cast, I was thinking, has he had his hair cut? Is it his hair he's changed his hair? And I thought, did he have a beard? Did he have a mustache? Because I kept on thinking, there's something missing. It's not his teeth. He had teeth originally. He's still got teeth. Anyway, let's go to Lee Wilson talking about teeth. Let's speak to somebody who you got your dentures in, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got there in properly. Fire away.
Tim Burton. I mean, this was a big risk because Tim Burton was a fairly new director when he took this on. He'd had a success a year before with Beetlejuice, and Warner Brothers trusted him with this. I mean, it's a big risk, a superhero Batman, especially a Batman movie. And of course, this is 1989, so we are filming this in, what year is this now? 30 years.
30 years.
30 years, yeah.
30 years. And I went to...
That makes you feel old, Lee.
I went to the cinema to see this. It was the summer of 89, and it was the movie of the year.
It was 31.
There was some big blockbusters out of this the same year. You had Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, and all like that. But this was one of the biggest. It was just so hyped, and the hype worked. This is when hype for movies worked, because the hype for movies these days is utter crap. Everything gelled so well. The cast, the scenery, the soundtrack, both soundtracks, Danny Elfman soundtrack and the Prince soundtrack just gelled so well. And of course, it was all made in England. It was all made in Pinewood.
Pinewood Studios.
Everything was built in Pinewood Studios. It was, it's brilliant. As it's been said, they always thought Michael Keaton, because when it was announced Michael Keaton was going to be Bruce Wayne Batman, everybody was going, you can't have a comic actor playing Batman. How wrong they were. For me, I do like the campy 60s series. I mean, I grew up on the Adam West TV series. I absolutely adore and love it. But what this did was it reinvigorated it, and it brought it back down to earth, and it needed it. And for me, the Tim Burton 2 movies and the animated series, as Ethan said, are the best Batman adaptations. You can forget all the 2 campy films after that, because it got out of hand with those 2 movies. The Christopher Nolan trilogy, it's okay, but I don't know. Those 3 movies were missing something. It was just missing something in those 3 movies. But for me, this is up there, one of the classic films. Jack Nicholson, he was born to play the part. I mean, as it's been said, he's just chewing eating the scenery. Michael Gough as Alfred, brilliant actor, been in many things. And what a brilliant Batmobile. That is an epic design. I really do love it. It's a good story.
That's the classic one, isn't it? Yeah. What everybody thinks of, really, yeah.
Because from the TV, we only had the TV series to go on, really, and then just the comic strips. But then this was the next big, real Batmobile. You know what I mean? But the only sort of gripe I have with this movie is you don't kill the Joker off. when I went to sit in the cinema and saw it, and they've what? They can't kill him off, but they did. But apparently, he was supposed to return in one of the campy movies as part of the Scarecrow nightmare thing, but that never happened. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I totally enjoyed it. This is what Batman should be: gothic, dark, and with a touch of comedy, which it had. It was brilliant. Over to you, Alan.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, I don't usually like superhero films, and I don't like the newer Batman films, but I've seen these ones quite a few times, and I like these ones. I do, and I think this is a great film. Even though I'm not a Batman fan, it's a good film. It's got humor. It's got good acting. I mean, the Joker in this, Jack Nicholson, is absolutely brilliant. Forget Heath Ledger. I didn't like his Joker. I didn't like that film. But I just love the Joker in this. And it's just a well-told, well-played-out film, which is great. And that's what you want. And it's about 2 hours long, something like that, and it's great fun. Let's move on to favourite. Actually, let's go to Beefhead, who has just joined us. Let's have opening thoughts. This is Batman, Beefhead.
It's a tragic story about a guy who has a terrible accident, isn't offered the sort of care and therapy that he needs, and is ultimately just prejudiced in society. He's unfairly picked on by the authorities, and a deranged lunatic with a complex that he's a creature of the night. It's a very tragic tale.
Don't be so rude to Lee like that.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
To be honest with you, it's by today's standards, it's a lot different. But at the time, it was a phenomenon. Prior to this, the only really big superhero movies there had been Superman and Flash Gordon. But this was 1989. The last time you had seen anything like this was back in the Adam West. So it was Tim Burton was the best choice to do something like this. The music was, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing that logo everywhere. The big lead into it. It was a huge thing in the cinema as well. Just seeing that in the run as it started playing in the cinema. It was one of the few films I remember seeing that on the big screen when it came out, because it was that big a deal. You couldn't go anywhere and not miss it. The music was everywhere because they had a massive deal with Prince going for it. And it's a great movie. Sadly, I think there were a lot of plans for it to go in a different direction had Tim Burton stayed with it on the second one. But as a start to it, it's tremendous. And Jack Nicholson loves it because after that, he never needed to work again.
Yep, that it. Let's
as an opening thought, yeah.
Good job you said that, Beefhead, because he took a percentage of all the royalties, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and that's why it was.
What a clever man!
Massive. Never needed to work again.
Yeah, that's the thing that you need to do, because didn't the Only Fools and Horses cast do that as well? For every time Only Fools and Horses.
That's why Robert Downey Jr. is richer than Croesus, to be honest with you. He never work again. He just does what he does and dances on Instagram.
It's the royalties that count. Yeah. Let's move on to favourite moments. Let's go back to Harry, since we started off with him.
I had to choose a favorite moment in the movie, and it was just such a great movie. I'd have to say it was the scene. It's the part where the Bat delivers to the media, and everybody's dealing with this smiley face, this smile syndrome, the big grin, the white face, and everything. Delivers the list of what's causing it and how to avoid it. I mean, this shows you've got a brain behind this crime fighter. You got someone who's got intelligence, who's not afraid to put his stuff to use to try and solve this problem. And getting it out to the media in this way, this is how you're going to have to deal with it. And it drove Joker nuts. I said Joker wasn't already crazy enough already. As I said, Joker in this movie, to borrow a phrase from one of my favorite fantasy series, he could be an avatar for one of the Lords of Chaos. He was that crazy. But that's probably one of the best scenes, in my opinion, one of the best scenes in the movie. That scene where he delivers what's causing the smile and how to avoid it.
Cheers for that, Harry. Let's go back to Alex and Susan for their favorite moments.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, the party man sequence in the museum, even though a lot of critics didn't like that, I liked it.
I like that. What do you mean critics didn't like it?
And then, no, they didn't like it. I also liked when he was talking to Vicky Vale. He goes, I was sitting in the you-know-where one day, and I want my face on the $1 bill, and all these other, and then he's looking at the supermodels, but he's saying that's trash, but he wants to see dead skeletons and dead bodies. And I said, now isn't that interesting? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of favorite moments in this. The music, the way that it's timed, the way that it's edited together, sometimes you're flying in this movie like Batman, other times you're seeing it from Joker's point of view. You're seeing the balloons where the other Prince song is playing. All the great one-liners that Jack Nicholson has.
Do one.
No, easy now.
No, do one.
No, easy.
Do an impression.
Anyway, I mean,
go on,
he's
do
just
one,
got great.
do
Well,
one.
no, but I don't know about the copyright strike here.
Do
one. Go on, do one. We won't have copyright
Anyway,
strikes. Lee will sort out. Lee will sort. They won't come after Lee. Go on, do one.
Anyway, yeah.
Come on, Alex. We're not moving on until you do one.
Anyway,
come on, just do one now. Just do one quickly. Come on.
He has great one-liners. The Jack Nicholson.
Peter Preston always does it. Come on, Alex. Do one.
Easy now. Oh, I love it. Now Beef Dad's gonna try to mesmerize me with his stare. The Brand X. The Brand X with the only your Undertaker knows for sure. All these wonderful one-liners in there.
When's he gonna do it?
Those ruby lips.
Has he done it yet?
That luscious tan. So you kind of wonder a little bit if just like they did, unfortunately, with the Suicide Squad, where they had an acid bath as well. But Harley Quinn joins in, of course. You wonder if not only he was more crazy after he fell in the bath, but the
definitely.
fact that he went from Jerry Hall as a supermodel in the beginning of the movie to, the ending of the movie where he basically falls off a cliff with that recorder with the Joker laugh, which was amazingly postmodern. And that was the only complaint that I heard when I went to see this in the theater was, how come the Joker had animation when he fell to his death, but then there was also that tape recorder with his laugh on it. So,
Can you laugh like him?
Anyway,
can you
before
do the
we
laugh,
go
Alex?
too much into the super fan here.
Alex, can you do the laugh?
No, I can't do the laugh. Even though I will give props to Cesar Romero. I mean, basically, if you're going to have the Joker, it's Cesar Romero and Jack Nicholson. And I think the other benefit is they can be both serious, human, and incredibly crazy. And I think that's the reality that people are forgetting for a villain, is that you have to have the human part and then switch over to the crazy part. And that makes it more...
Bit like Ethan.
I know. So that makes it more terrifying rather than
Oh, Ethan's definitely terrifying.
Yeah, rather than the Heath Ledger, Jared Leto thing, which was totally off the rails, and it became too cartoonish in the Suicide Squad version.
I've not seen that.
Okay.
I don't know.
My favorite moment is the part in the city where he's throwing money and he's saying, "Who do you trust? Do your impression. Who do you trust?"
Can you finish with your thoughts, please?
Anyway, that was fun. So that's my thought.
Okay, Alan's moving along.
Her thought is for you to do the impression. Now get on with it.
Well, I mean, you guys can't do your own impression. I mean, Beef Dad already. I'm sorry, Beef
Dad. Where's Beef Dad?
Sorry about that. That was my mistake. As we know, Beef has a wonderful speaking voice, and I'm sure that he can do Nicholson.
Voice.
He can do Nicholson as well, and I'm sure Lee can do it if he really tries.
You could do
and
it.
Ethan has the rictus smile already set up. There you go.
Oh, Ethan, you're on about.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I told you that's Ethan's crazy side.
Alex is just pushing off all the praise and all the attention onto you guys. So here you can have it.
Oh, thank you. It's very generous of you, Alex. Let's go to Ethan.
Personally, I think the whole film's like my favourite moment. But it just is. The whole film is like a favourite moment. But I will say, the introduction of Batman when he comes in on the top of the building where there's the two thugs, that bit's brilliant. That's just such a great introduction to Batman. And any of the scenes with Joker, they were great. Just like I said, when he's Jack, he's brilliant. But it's that whole build-up when he's in the plastic surgery. I mean, that was just creepy. That's just...
Yeah.
That is right out of the comics. That is right. That is true Joker. Like, even if you've not seen the film, you don't know who Joker is, which is impossible. Everybody knows him. But you're like, well, what does he look like? What does he look like? And then, of course, when he comes out the shadows and he says the whole, you should think of it as therapy. And he comes out and he kills Jack Palance. I mean, that's just brilliant. And again, with the, even though it's already been pointed out, the newsreader, when she starts laughing, and everybody's like, what's going on with her? And then she dies with the horrid grin. And then it cuts to Joker going, newly approved Joker products with a secret ingredient. That's right out of the comics and the cartoons. That's just proper Joker. That is the Joker. That he always comes up with something theatrical and fun. You're not meant to laugh at it, but you do. You do laugh at it because he is funny. The whole Party Man bit is brilliant. I love that soundtrack, the Prince soundtrack, as I've just pointed out. I've got the soundtrack. I love Prince. It's brilliant. And even every critic has mentioned this. Every person has praised it. It's the whole Batmobile bit where they're driving through the forest and it's just the music. I mean, what a piece of music that is. That whole build-up. And then she says one line, where are we going? He doesn't say anything, just drives, and then through the wall into the Batcave. I mean, I remember watching that as a kid. And of course, being a Batman fan, I was like, wow. The balloon scene's great. Trust. That's the song, Trust. That bit's brilliant. And even the final fight, the whole cathedral bit, I mean, not a lot of words are said on that bit, really, until they get to the top. But it's that whole build-up. It's the music and everything. You just are right in that world. That whole final fight was brilliant. And even the flashback where Bruce realizes Joker is the killer who murdered his parents. Again, it just tells it so perfectly. I think that I don't want to say the whole film because there'll be other people who want to point these out, but I think it just is. Those are my favorite moments, and just the whole film on a whole is amazing up until the very end, where that triumphant music. He's on this building, and you've got the bat symbol. I mean, brilliant. You know, that is true Batman style. Over to you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Ethan. Yeah, I like the fact that he created the Joker, really. And the flashbacks as well, I thought that was well done, actually. Let's go to Lee for favourite moments.
You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you? I like that. Never rub another man's rhubarb.
You know about that? Too late.
That's a great quote. That's brilliant.
Yeah, the little quotes. I mean, also the one where Nicholson as the Joker is Vicky Vale doing that poem. I may be smiling on the outside and all like that. That was brilliantly done. Yeah, there's just so many brilliant things in this. There was one thing I didn't get. I saw the headlines on the paper in the movie. Prominent doctor murdered. So why did they change Bruce Wayne's father to a doctor instead of a billionaire?
Didn't he used to be a doctor in the comics, though?
Well, once it Wayne Enterprise. I mean, Wayne Enterprises wasn't even mentioned in the movie. I just thought, well, that's a bit strange. And also, Axis Chemicals. I thought it was Ace Chemicals.
Yeah, it's Ace Chemicals in the comics, but
Yeah.
I think they just changed it for the movie Axis Chemicals. But it is Ace Chemicals in the comics.
Yeah, it's I think the scene.
Maybe there was a real live Ace or Ace.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That was going to make it a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, because sometimes they do change names for that reason. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the scene where he's cutting photographs up in his hideout. Oh, it's hard to stay in the lines. It's just brilliant. Just the things with little things what Nicholson said, and I say when Nicholson and Keaton are together, they're just brilliant. Yeah, it's that one where Keaton as Bruce Wayne, as in Vicky Vale's apartment when the Joker turns up, where he just goes nuts. That is so brilliant.
You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Yeah, it's enjoyable from beginning to end for me. Loved it.
But I think if you didn't have Jack Nicholson as the Joker, it wouldn't be anywhere near as good.
True, because
I don't think anybody else could have done it.
Back then in 1989, I don't think anybody else could have done it. No, to be honest.
Mm.
I think from day one they went out to get Nicholson.
I mean, he really is phenomenal for the whole film.
Yeah,
he is absolutely my favourite part. I could take or leave Batman, but I think the Joker's excellent.
This is why he got top billing.
Yeah.
Usually it's the superhero lead actor who gets the top billing, but he was Nicholson.
I don't know about Batman. I don't know if he was. I don't know who the other choices were, but maybe they could have picked a better Batman. I don't know. I know they couldn't have picked a better Joker.
No, they had loads of people for they even said I think Harrison Ford, Tom Selleck.
Really, Harrison Ford? No, I can't see that.
No, that was just some of the. Even Bill Murray was on the list at one point.
Yeah, no.
No. Michael Keaton, I know it's a bit of a funny list.
Yeah, out of them lot, they picked the best Batman. Okay, they picked the best Batman.
Bill Murray could have done a few scenes, but he couldn't have done the whole movie.
No.
And then, as I'm watching it again, I noticed that there's a lot of dialogue that's almost under your breath. So it's like you have to really watch the movie. You know what I mean? There's a lot of dialogue that's kind of under.
Well, that's the whole point of being part of the group, Alex.
Yeah. So
to watch the movie.
Yeah. So the funny, when that character, actor, comedian, what's his name? The reporter.
Yeah.
And he gets the champagne at the party from Alfred. and then puts $1 on the tray.
Oh yes, yeah,
Alfred's kind of looking at it like, "What's this?"
yeah.
He's like, "What is this?" Sort of gives it that look, And then another good scene is when the reporters, quote unquote, are in the display hall with all the dolls, the Japanese the mannequin or whatever. And at the end, Keaton goes, "Oh, and give Knox a grant," So you have a lot of wonderful dialogue. I think that's the other reason why this movie is so famous and popular is there's very few comic book movies since. They may have had better special effects. They may have had more realistic settings, possibly. But the dialogue and the pacing and the music.
And you've got to have the actors as well.
Yeah, and the personality is really good. And I think that's why people, really like it.
And I think Tim Burton was an excellent choice. Because this was when Tim Burton was good.
Yeah. And even before it got into the Johnny Depp is the new Jack Nicholson, which he's not Jack Nicholson.
No, nowhere near. No.
I hate to say that, but I think that's the other issue as well. And then the funny thing is, the movies before this Batman was also very funny. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and they had impressions in that as well. So I mean, it was kind of he was jokey, but it was at the right time, I think, too. And it was short. It didn't go on for the whole movie, except for Nicholson. Like I said, I knew people that didn't like Nicholson's Joker, but I mean, the funny thing is, he's serious and crazy and talking under his breath and punching TVs and stuff like this.
But it's also the look of him as well.
Yeah.
The look is iconic.
Oh, I know. What about that mob scene where he fries the guy? And then he's still talking to him as if he's alive when when you see the skeleton.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's really creepy, but he still made it funny. And I think that's the reason why it's good. Yeah.
Ethan, you said, did you say that the Joker wasn't going to be in this film earlier? Was it you said that? I can't remember.
No.
All right, I've completely just.
No,
made
I
that
said
up.
but that was.
Was it you or was it Alex?
No, he said that, but not remember, they had a lot of script rewrites, and there was also a writer's strike going on while they were trying to film this movie as well. So they had to do a lot of improvising as well, and I think that shows through the movie. That everybody's improvising, but they're also following a script. I think it really shows through the movie, this energy that they're. I think that's why this movie is liked, because it's going in 6 directions at once, but it's not jarring that it takes you out of the movie. It's not that you go, "Oh, that's so stupid, I can't watch it anymore." Like with the 90s ones. The 90s Batman, there were so many moments where they were trying too hard.
You mean the campy ones?
I love campy, but campy has to be done.
I love campy.
Campy has to be done well. I mean, I like Arnold Schwarzenegger, don't get me wrong. But how many ice puns can you take? I mean, it was
but that was brilliant.
No, it was too many. It was too many.
Come on, Alex.
No, the thing is, I love bad movies, but the thing is, you have to balance it. You have to if you go too far.
I'm sorry, you're moaning about Batman and Robin, yet you want all the Sharknado films.
Yeah, well, but they know they're stupid. That's the difference. And you know that it isn't real either, so that's
I hope it's not real. It's not a documentary, is it?
Again, no, I know, but I'm saying, a shark is still not a person. It's not Bat Shark. It's Sharknado. So the thing is, you have to have a balance. Yeah, you have to have a balance.
You've given them the next idea for a film now, Bat Shark. Hold on.
That's already buried. We've
got
but anyway,
Shark Octopus or whatever it's called, Sharktopus.
No, they've already done that one out, so that's fine. But I'm saying, I think it's the fact that, like I said, when I was in the movie theater, and I could actually see people's reactions, and it was a lot better than Batman and Robin. It was even better than Batman Forever.
Yeah, but this was before Batman and Robin.
Well, the funny thing is, Jim Carrey in the other movie did do a impression of Jack Nicholson's Joker on In Living Color, and he was doing a little bit of Nicholson in that movie, if you really think about it. But, I mean, he still was doing the Riddler, but he was doing just a touch of Nicholson in that movie as well. But I remember the reaction, and the reaction when I was watching Batman Forever was, oh, this isn't as good as the original, Batman. This isn't as good as Tim Burton's, version. And then when it got to Batman and Robin, the groan just got louder. Every 30 minutes, it got louder and louder, and people were walking out. I didn't see anybody walking out of Batman, the movie we're talking about today. I didn't see anybody walking out of that. So, again, it's tough. It's easier to criticize than to make the actual movie. And I know Tim Burton has talked about it. I haven't seen any documentaries for quite a while about, making this movie. But they had a lot of, they had a lot of proposals. They had a lot of actors that they wanted to, try. And it's good that they, filmed and stayed with, who they wanted, because it would have been a totally different movie.
Can we move to Beefhead now?
Yeah.
Alex? Yep. Yeah. All right, go on.
Thank you so
Alex's much. Permission.
Thank you so much. So generous and giving of your time. I have to agree with Ethan, to be honest with you. I think the quintessential moment of it for me is the first appearance of Batman, because a lot of the subsequent movies, and you got to remember, like I said previously, the only other superhero movie you'd had before this that was of any sort of big screen bulk was Superman. And they didn't go, which they've done in more recent years, is go for the instant trope of the origin thing straight away. They've gone straight into it. And it's not bogged down for that. There's a preconception that the audience already know who Batman is going into this. And I think that's it. You have that iconic "I'm Batman" from Keaton, and the appearance of him there on the rooftop is superb. That's what you get. It's the idea of the shadow, the fear, the building of the tension, and then you get the drop down is a little bit more graceful than you would expect with gravity, but it gives the right amount of gusto. And this is the first time you see the character taken seriously, what you would perceive to be realistic in a suit that would be not like the Adam West one, but one that you could say is practical for the period anyway. And it does. Then you have this amazing reveal to it. I think as well, the best one is where you've got the two of them facing off. You've got the two opposing sides facing off nose to nose in the cathedral at the end. The Batmobile is a great reveal as well, because that is something that is out of the comics. When you think about what the comics were like in the 60s and everything like that, it was a very long thing with a sort of bat mask on the front of it. So it was very much a modern reimagining of that, to be honest with you. So it was really great. Nicholson just chews the scenery. There's disputes about how much of it was scripted. A lot of it was improvised. They just let him say, look, just run with it. And he did. And every time he's on screen, he's magnetic, because there is that unpredictability that you do associate with an actor of that caliber. I've got to give kudos to Michael Keaton, because he wasn't a popular choice at the time. He was only famous for being in a film, Mr. Mom. So he wasn't generally regarded as a serious actor, but he just he kills it. He really does. Especially to the bits where he's being Bruce Wayne. So he does underplay it. He does play it for goofs like Clark Kent. He's the alter ego. So you've got the bit where you first see Bruce Wayne as Bruce Wayne, and you've got Alfred running around behind him, picking up after him, stopping him, dropping stuff and everything like that. So it makes him out to be this sort of unrealistic character, bumbling, and it's a believable facade. For me as well, I've got to give an honourable mention, because as much as I love the Smilex commercial where it's interrupting of the news broadcast, I just love Bob. Bob, you're my number one, because Bob the henchman is fantastic, because he shows up here, there, and everywhere. He's an unsung hero of this movie because he just shows up everywhere, and he's just like pitch perfect, whatever he does, because he's one of these bit part actors, character actors who just shows up in everything, and every time he's there, he just like bang on the money. So yeah, Bob the henchman is the number one for me. What else could I say that are sterling moments? Do you know what? Vicky Vale is, ain't that in a bag of chips, to be honest with you. She's, I think she's a bit of a bolt-on, to be honest with you, for this, because you needed to have some sort of eye candy. It's a shame, like I say, we never got the third movie, because Billy D. Williams and Harvey Dent was going to be developed for the third movie. That's something that they never got to. But it's a landmark thing where it stopped taking it as a kids medium to a certain degree. Like we've said before, the campness that it got into later on. Because the thing is, that's what you were trying to get away from. Everyone went to this movie and they've got this preconceived idea of the campness that you had with the Adam West Bill Dozier version back in the 60s. And you got to this and it was taken seriously. And you got a movie that could work for kids and for grown-ups. So that's why it was such an amazing, amazing milestone in the landscape of how they did these sort of movies. So yeah, it's tremendous. It is. There are flaws with it. Don't get me wrong. What's the point in Bruce Wayne wearing glasses when he's in the Batcave looking at the video, but he doesn't need them when he's out in the suit? Yeah, there are things that you can make fun of. But the thing is, also that he's made himself so iconic in that role that now we are where we are now, with the making of a new Batman movie that's going to be coming. A lot of people are pushing for them to do Batman of the future, and they want Keaton to come back and do old Bruce Wayne with Terry McGinnis. I think that would be tremendous, just to see him do that. He did an address to a classroom of graduating students, and that was it. He just killed the room by just using "I'm Batman." Do you know what I mean? That sticks. And there wasn't an over-reliance on gadgets. It was done in a great way. And if any of you also are film nerds for B-part character actors like I am as well, if you notice as well that when you first see Joker and he's there with the headed crime bosses and everything like that, there's a Chinese gentleman there at the back. You will also find out that is the Chinese gentleman who's in the Chinese prison with Christian Bale in Batman Begins. And that's some of my favourite moments.
Oh, thanks for that, Beefhead. Let's go on to final say and score. Let's go to Ethan this time. Let's start with Ethan.
Well, it's simple, really. I give this movie 10 batarangs. 10 out of 10 batarangs. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, everybody has said so many bits and just everything about it. And actually, it's funny because you said to me, like, did I say Joker wasn't going to be in it? I don't know if I didn't, but there were a lot of scripts. Believe it or not, the original script was they wanted to do, at one point, they wanted to introduce Ra's al Ghul as the villain, and they wanted Christopher Lee to play the part.
Ah.
Which would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But it did go through lots of changes. Like, one point, they were going to have the Penguin in it, but they thought
the Penguin's in the next one, isn't he?
Yeah, they said no. They said no, keep it for the next one or something. And originally they didn't want Joker to be the killer of Bruce Wayne's parents, because in the comics it's a guy known as Joe Chill. But they went through a lot of changes. As well.
I thought that was originally in the comics. I thought it was all.
No, it was actually a guy. It was just a normal thug, just a normal guy called Joe Chill.
Yeah, but it makes sense having he killed them, because then it brings it all full circle, and then it brings more emotion to the film.
It works in this film. I mean, there's been that many retellings of it. They could add in little bits, but it does work for this film, definitely. But trying to think of like other changes, and originally Joker's death was actually meant to be a bit more different. Originally, they wanted Batman to release a big flock of bats right at Joker. And he's standing there, and he's like swarmed in this big mist of bats going around him while Batman walks up to him, and Joker ends up being scared of him, and that's how he falls off the building. But they just changed it to like the gargoyle being on the foot and then boom, dead. I agree with Lee. I don't know why they killed Joker off, because he never dies in the comics. He always tricks people. But he was meant to have come back, Jack Nicholson, as the Joker. But unfortunately, we never got that.
It's a shame that never happened.
Well, originally, they were going to do, it had many titles like Batman Triumphant or something else.
Yeah, that's not a very good title.
Yeah, where they wanted the villain, the next one after Batman and Robin, they wanted the villain to be the Scarecrow. And I think they had like who was it, like Nick Cage or somebody to play the part. But he was meant to be poisoned by fear gas, and they were going to bring back every villain from Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, Danny DeVito as the Penguin. And
that never works.
Jack Nicholson as the Joker. They were going to bring them all back as...
That didn't work.
It would have been absolutely stunning and amazing, but yeah, it would have been
too much. They don't work when they put too many villains in it.
Avengers?
Yeah.
I've not seen Avengers. How many villains are in Avengers? One in there.
But what I'm saying is that it can be done.
Yeah, I know. It can't be done now. But I think back then there must have been like some budgeting issue or something. But...
Well, it ended, didn't it? The series ended.
Yeah.
The Batman and Robin, yeah. That's what happened.
Because of how poorly it did at the office and stuff. They just said, just done with it and stuff.
Actually, in the ABC campy 1960s TV show, they did have an episode where all of them came back. Of course, they didn't show them from the face. They showed them from the back because they didn't have
Literally, they came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they already did that.
Lee will know this. Let's see. Let's check the man who should know. Is this true, Lee?
And yeah, but yes, it's true. But also, they took an invisible pill, so you never saw them. And the lights was out. So, but you know, you got the Kapow zaps in the.
All right. Oh, so really, they didn't return then, did they? You didn't see them, so they didn't return. Right, who we're going to go to next? Let's go to Harry. So,
I'll say this: we've heard it during the show about the fact that there's a lot of disgruntlement over the fact that Michael Keaton was chosen to play the Bat. At one point, there were even petitions out there saying, "Pull a movie if you put Keaton in there as the Bat."
Oh, that still goes on today.
Never got anywhere because
that's a tradition with Batman.
Nothing ever changes.
It just would not happen the same. I got to agree with Ethan on this one. 10 out of 10 Batarangs. I mean, this is just classic.
I've never seen Harry so excited.
It's just that good.
It must be all that vitamin W he's having.
Everything, but this is just all the camp and everything. I mean, there's a place for camp, but this is the Dark Knight as it was meant to be. Burton and Keaton pulled it off. I just can't say anything more. This is just that good a movie. 10 out of 10.
Wow, Harry, I've really never seen you so animated. Look, he's waving. He's been waving his arms about and everything. It's all that vitamin W he's been taking. Let's go to Alex and Susan.
Again, there's been a little bit of shade thrown at the 1960s version. They wanted to make it camp because it was before primetime or just about primetime viewing. It was the 60s. But the other thing too is let's not discount it too much, because for Batman, they've usually been able to get good actors. They've usually been able to get a good cast, except for the Robin characters in the cinematic movies. And even they have finally gotten experience. But when they were in the film, they didn't have experience. And the 60s version was like the 40s version. It was supposed to be 20 minutes or less, so you're not going to have a big intellectual, time. It's there to have action, to have a little fun. It's not supposed to be taken too seriously. With the movies, with the exception of the 90s version of Batman in the movies, it was taken pretty much seriously. And they've done pretty much overall a good version of a good interpretation of the movies. But I mean, again, Cesar Romero inspired, Nicholson and the people that played the Joker after him. I just, you may not like the style or the energy that they brought to it. But obviously it's a good character because it's been done a billion times. Both, and then you even have Mark Hamill as the Joker, and he's done a wonderful job with it as well. So I think it's a question of, and I think that's the fun part about superhero movies and sci-fi movies, is that you can change the emphasis. You can change what character is focused on. And I think that's another thing too. Plus, every decade and every audience is going to view it a little differently. But this movie, Batman, has an energy and a presentation to it that a lot of people liked right from the first.
Alex, say decade again. Say
decade. So
that's not what you said originally.
Anyway, so for this, I'll give it 9. It's not perfect, but like I said, I will love, and I did love being in the movie theater, when this was playing, just like the original Addams Family from the 60s and the 90s version.
I like that.
The audience was with it, and that's great when you hear a song or you see a play or you see a movie and the audience is with it. That's a great feeling. It's a great experience. It's a lot of fun.
Are you telling me you were actually with it?
All right.
I don't know what he said, but
no, I've got no idea what he said either.
No, you asked him to repeat decade, and I don't know what he messed up on, but
he said decade.
Anyway,
sorry, it's just me being silly. Carry on.
I love this movie. I'll give this 10 Batmobiles out of 10. It's fantastic, really fun, really energetic, and I would strongly recommend it as a great romp for anybody who's interested in just something really popcorn eating, enjoy, wow, and beautiful, and with great music. You'll end up dancing to the Prince songs, I promise. Okay,
yeah,
that's my bit.
Let's go to Beefhead for his final say and score.
Hello there. You can't, just to clarify my position, I'm no way taking a dump on the Bill Dozier version. I love that, to be honest with you. Nobody messes with Adam Wee. This was a cultural phenomenon. You just can't get away from it. That logo was everywhere. It was Times Square. It was on T-shirt. The merchandise was everywhere. I had T-shirt. Exactly. He's got a T-shirt. I've got a T-shirt. Ethan's got a T-shirt. I remember at the time I think, baseball caps. You even find kids wearing baseball caps with it now. It's everywhere. You cannot get away from it. And the one thing that they did do, because Joker anyway has no true backstory. If you go through all the iterations of the movies and the iterations of the comics, there is no one definitive story because it's always a mismatch or something, and you choose to believe whatever you believe. There's no canon, which is a horrible, horrible word that everyone hates and likes to lump on. So, this is Tim Burton's imagining. They took it serious. They did something great with it, and you can't fault it in that way. I've got to give it. I will give it a 9 because it's. There are points to it, and I'm not saying that through a 2019 perspective. I'm saying it through a 1989 perspective. There are bits of it that sort of like just fell off a little bit for me, but it was a hell of a movie. It was a hell of a time. It was a hell of an experience to go through. It's still a great movie now, and it didn't get to if Freeze is coming and all the stuff that you got with Arnie. Forget about the stuff that happened in after Batman Returns.
It's hard to.
It's hard. Look, we've all been there. We've been through the therapy. We've all written journals about how it made us feel, and we've all held hands in group and got past that. But it's nine bat shark repellent pellets out of 10 for me.
Thank you, Beef Dad. Beef Dad. I nearly called him Beef Dad. That's you, that is, Alex.
I'm the youngest looking straight one. Yeah.
Right, let's go back to Hal for the final time, and let's go to Lee.
Well,
what's your score, Lee? What's the scores on the door?
Well, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? There's a quote that hasn't been mentioned. Yeah, it's a fun movie. It's stood the test of time. So it's 30 years, since I've seen it. Great pairing, Nicholson and Keaton, and Burton as well. Batman, this is how it should be done. And as I say, without this movie and the second movie, we would not have got the animated TV series, which is such a classic TV series. I think it's going to get 10 whoops out of 10.
Thank you for that, Lee. Right, yeah. As I've said before, I don't like Batman, usually. But I actually do like this film, and I actually like the Penguin one, the one after this. And those are the only two Batmans that I like. I do like the campy TV series, though, from the 60s. That's a lot of fun. But the newer versions of Batman, they're not for me.
Alan, that's a lot of Batman to not like Batman. I think you got to change the whole thing. I think you just completely contradicted yourself.
Well, probably, yes. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, I do like, but this is a good film. This is a fun film. And I like the other one as well. And I just don't like the new ones. I think they're too dark, too gritty. They're too serious, where this isn't. And that's what I like about this one.
Yeah, me and Lee agreed with that one as well. I think that they were just too serious.
Yeah.
Their ones. It's interesting.
I don't like it when films take themselves too seriously. It needs to be a bit of humour, be a bit of fun.
Well, that's what the animated series did as well. It still had some serious moments, but it had humour. There was always something funny. So, but that's what they were missing.
And that's what I like about the 60s TV series. I mean, it's just a load of campness.
Well, the funny thing is, there was a scene on top of a train in the animated series with Batman talking to the Joker. And he did an impression of Harley Quinn, sort of. He said, "You almost had me, Pudding." And to see, the animated look on Joker's face, it's funny.
But if a film is well written, it's got good humour, it's got good acting, it's well directed, then you're going to enjoy it whatever it is, or whatever film it's based on. This is just a good film. It doesn't matter if it's Batman. It could be anybody. It's just a good film. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to go with a 9. It's not a 10. But it's definitely a 9. Yeah. Anyway, tell us below what you think of Batman. Any Batman you can tell us about. Hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Thank you, everybody here, for joining me. Look after yourself. Take care. We will see you next time.